Right, folks. My name's Jeffrey Shaw. I'm sitting in the studios here of Radio FM 88 Australia, and it's once again I'm in the Southern Hemisphere, and of course our co-host right at the very top of the totem pole, none other than Andrena Forrest. I've used the word totem pole because our guest comes from the world of and the land of totem poles, who's in the middle, nicely sandwiched. Anyway, Andrena, would you like to go and introduce our guest tonight?
Hi, welcome to everybody that's tuning in to Dreaming the New Dream. And if you're watching it live or listening to the replay, today is the 15th of September, can you believe, 2022. And it's the number 3 day. And now today we've got the power of 3 of us here. So, and it's my delight to welcome Christa to the show, Christa Marie. I was given her name from Amelia, who was on the show weeks ago, and probably a bit longer now. And she said, she would be really great to have on the show. Anyway, I contacted her and we've had lots of conversations, and I just love you hearing about your story and what's unfolded for you. So without further ado, welcome, Christa Marie. And it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And I can't wait for you to share that you've visited heaven twice. Most of us only go once. You've gone twice in this lifetime. So please share how you started in life, where you were born, your family, and how the pathway has taken you to heaven and back.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. I'm very grateful. So I grew up in Iowa, and it really all began when I was very, very young. I was in diapers, and there was a picture on the wall of a tree, and on the tree had a path on the right side and a path on the left side. The path on the right side, it was very dark and scary looking, but at the end of the path, it led to light. And on the left side of the tree, it was very bright and happy, but it ended up leading to darkness. So I'm in diapers and I'm looking at this picture, which to me looks enormous because I'm so little. And I just thought, I want the path on the right. I want to get to that light. And then to fast forward just a few years, I would say it was probably in 3rd grade. I woke up in the middle of the night and Mother Mary was standing at the foot of my bed. And I just felt this loving presence, and I sat up and we just looked at each other, and there was just complete stillness and love that I was feeling. It was just incredible. And I laid back down, and then Jesus started coming to me in my dreams every single night. And it opened up gifts for me. I had knowing. I could see into the future. I was just very aware at a very young age. And then
what sort of age was that? Because like different school systems have different when they say about years. So what sort of age was that?
I was about 8 years old.
Really? Gosh.
Yeah.
A young starter, eh?
Yes. So I'm glad I chose the path on the right, which led to the light. That's for sure.
I bet. Yeah, you may not be here today telling the story, eh?
Exactly. Yes. So I opened up, I had a Bible next to my bed, and I opened up my Bible after Mary appeared and Jesus came to me in my dreams. And the first thing that I read was, I have chosen you for greater things. And I thought, okay, this is wonderful. And then I would always have this sense that there was a message for me. So I would open it up, and then I would read, the truth will set you free. I read that over and over and over. It was like, that was always what I was led to. And, you know, I shared this with my mom, what was happening. And she just said, oh yeah, that's how Jesus said, you know, Jesus would go to his disciples in their sleep. And I'm sharing like what is coming to me in my dreams. But then I had this feeling like, I think I should stop doing this because people are going to think I'm crazy, you know? So I kept everything to myself unless I knew that someone was going to be hurt, you know, because I would know if someone was going to be in a car accident or something like that. So when there was something like that going on, then I would speak up. I just really kept it all to myself. And then fast forward to, well, actually, I actually started believing that there was something wrong with me because I just knew things. And I thought, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Like, I just thought, oh, wow. You know, I grew up in the Catholic Church, and those beliefs of like being psychic and all of that, like it was viewed upon as like being really evil. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm doomed. Like, this is terrible. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do wrong? I thought no matter what, you know, I'm going to go to hell. And so I had so much fear that I carried with me. And then, so now I'll fast forward to 1998. I'm 8 weeks into nursing school, and I have a daughter. She's in second grade, and we're getting ready to start clinicals. And I have to go pick her up from school. So I'm driving 99 miles an hour because I only have a very short window as to when I can get back to school. And I'm driving 99 miles an hour, and I hit a pothole, and I start going into oncoming traffic, and here comes a Mack truck. And they're going like 50 some miles an hour, but everything turned into slow motion. And I started thinking, okay, if I get to the ditch, I'll be fine. I'll drive my car out of the ditch. I'll get to school. I'll pick up my daughter and I'll make it back to nursing school. And right before the impact, I heard the most beautiful, loving voice say, "You're going to be okay." And then I was gone. But I was enveloped in this beautiful, loving pink light. And there was so much peace and love there. And I don't know how long I was there for, but when I came back, there was a paramedic that had heard the accident, and he was knocking on the window. And he started doing an assessment, and I didn't know my name. I didn't know where I lived. I lost my long-term and short-term memory, but I didn't have any physical injuries on my body other than a concussion. I mean,
Wow.
nothing, no broken bones, nothing. So I stayed in nursing school, even though I didn't have a short-term and long-term memory. I began.
So can I just ask, you had no injuries, but what about the car? What was the car like?
Oh gosh, the car was a complete disaster. The tires were gone. I mean, it was just like it was a mess, you know, because I had eventually ended up on the correct side of the street.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was really mangled.
Because I just wondered, because you didn't have any injuries. Well, what was the car like?
Yes, the car really took the hit. But it was such a blessing that my whole body, I mean, was completely fine. For me to walk away from an accident like that.
That was a miracle.
Absolutely. And so I get to nursing school, you know, during this time, I am not able to read. And like I don't know what I'm reading. I don't know what the words mean. I get stuck on the first word, trying to figure out what it means. And then I can't write and listen at the same time. And the instructor knew that something was definitely wrong, because before the accident, I was passing the quizzes or tests, like within, like a matter of minutes, and getting A's. And so I was able to get some accommodations, like recording the classes and whatnot, and people were giving me their notes. But what started happening was I began having dreams about the tests and what all the answers were, and even what the scores were. And I would see the scores of other people in the class. And then I began seeing inside people's bodies. So some of the gifts that I had even before the NDE were all being amplified. And when I was taking a test, a book would appear. And I was able to flip through the pages and find the answers to the questions on the test. So I passed all of my classes. I mean, when someone would say something to me, I could only remember what they spoke to me for 1 second. And then if I saw something, I could only remember it like for 3 seconds. And when they had tested me for accommodations, they said that I was at the level of someone that was severely mentally delayed. And they suggested, like, you should just take a break, like just wait until you're healed. But I was instantly forgetting what people were saying to me. And I said, well, I'm going to be a nurse and I have a daughter. So I just was constantly repeating that. And so after, it was about 2 years after the accident, I began, like, really, more things started opening up, like feeling what other people were feeling, like that empath side. It was coming in very, very strongly. And then I was even seeing further, deeper into the dimensions. Like I remember being with this group of people. They were going to start a church, and we were all in a group, and I just started sobbing. And they were like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. These aren't my tears. And it ended up being that I was sitting where a confessional was. And it was just like, I could not stop crying. And then they were talking about tearing a building down across the street. And I said, you can't tear it down. There's people there. And they said, no, it's empty. And I'm like, no, I see them walking. Like, there's a little girl, there's a mother, there's a nun. I was just seeing, it was incredible. But nobody else was seeing what I was seeing. And I'm like, why can't you see what I'm seeing? Like, I really was just kind of going with the flow of it. So my long-term memory came back after about 2 years, my short-term memory came back after about 2 years. My mom took me to a healing service, and all of a sudden I just felt swirling in my brain. And 3 days later, I was able to remember what someone had said, but my long-term memory was still gone. That came back about 11 years later. But during this whole time, just being able to see inside someone's body and know, like, when something was wrong. And then one day it opened up where I was able to hear what people were thinking. And I thought, wow, I mean, this is overwhelming.
I bet.
It really was. But I received the gift of living in the now from that car accident. And that, I mean, it was the greatest gift that I could have ever received, to have lost my memory. Because when you lose your memory, like, the only other place that you can be living from is your heart.
That's
so if
true.
You're not in your head, then you're in your heart. And I was just living from a place of unconditional love for everybody and everything. And it was just incredible to be in that place.
So how did it feel when you like when you could actually go into people's bodies and like, you know, what did that feel like? Was it just going into sort of very light sensation to activate and do the healing, or did it feel like dense, or did it vary to each person on depending on what their whatever they had wrong with them?
Well, I wasn't doing healings for people at this time, but what I would feel like when I was seeing inside someone's body, there was a definite shift of energy. Like, it's really hard to describe, actually. It just felt very, it's very peaceful, but it's like your eyes, they just start looking, it's like you're looking through another window. But the healings that I started doing began after my second NDE.
Right. Tell us about that one.
So the second one, I mean, the universe moves me forward in very
Obviously.
profound ways. Yes, nothing has been gentle.
No.
So the second NDE, I grew up in Iowa, and then I moved to Tucson, Arizona. My family lived there, and things started opening up when I moved to Arizona. Like when I would make food, it would turn into the shape of hearts. And I thought, my gosh, like this is incredible. Like it was amazing. And so I had a business where I was treating people with medical devices that was repairing injuries and things like that and treating pain. And I was kind of being led to where I'm at now, where I was doing a healing session for someone and I forgot to turn the machine on. And he looks at me and he said, "What did you do? You just healed me." And I looked at the machine to see the frequency and it wasn't even on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, but I wasn't still quite grasping exactly what was happening, like the things that were opening up for me. And then there was another person that had said, you know, his wrist had hurt. And I just said, "Can I take a look?" And I just held his wrist and hand in my hands. And he said, "Oh, I feel better already." And I just thought, oh, that's amazing. Still not quite understanding everything that's happening. So I end up getting exposed to mold, and which led to my NDE in March of 2020, or I'm sorry, April of 2020. And as I was dying, my blood pressure started dropping, my heart started getting very, very weak, and I just knew that I was dying, but I didn't feel any fear. I just said, "Divine team of medical angels." Like right then, my soul rose above my body, and there were all these angels. I mean, they were working very quickly, like performing soul surgery. You know, they opened me up and they were pulling things out and putting things back in. And then I was in front of the Golden Gates, and one of the gates was open, and it was like I was face to face with God, but I was so close to God that it was as if you are standing in front of a mountain and you're so close that you can't even see how vast it is. You know, it was just massive. And so I'm contemplating staying because the gate is open and it is beautiful and everything is perfect and it's loving. There's just so much love. And God said to me, "It's a mess down there." And I said, "Oh,
Just a little.
yes." And I said, "I know it is a mess down there." And I said, "And you know, my daughter's getting married. I want to go to her wedding. And I have to go back and help people." So I then looked at my body and I thought, okay, I'm going back. And I started floating through this time of nothingness. It was so peaceful. So then I'm back in my body and I wake up and I am healed enough to just keep going. And I thought, oh my goodness, I really wish that I would have asked for more healing when I was there, because it was very, very challenging healing from that exposure. And so one day, my faith is really strong. And one day, I was just praying for healing, and I started speaking in another language. It just flowed from me. And I was told, you're in Earth School.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is making sense now. And I was told, speak this with intent and people will heal. And other gifts started opening up for me. Like I had this woman reach out to me, and she lived in Minnesota, and she had asked me if I'd ever done a remote healing session. And I said, no. But then all of a sudden, like this downpour of light, it just poured into me. And I said, I've never done it, but I know I can. So let's do it right now. So even though I was still healing, I thought, I have to do this because something amazing is happening. Like I could just feel something happening in my body. And just like with all of that wisdom that was downloaded into me and the gifts that had opened up, she reached out to me a couple weeks later, and she said, I had this tumor on my body and it just fell off.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is incredible. So it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like I had a new toy. I'm like, I've got to explore this and see what I can do with this. So
you got a remote control, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes. And I thought, okay, so I reached out to a couple people and I said, can I just try something with you? Do you have any pain? And they're like, oh yeah, my back hurts. So I said, okay, put your hands on your heart. And then bam, instantly I sent this energy and they healed. And I thought, this is incredible, but I still had so much healing to do for myself that I had to put all my focus into healing me and getting me stronger so that I could really help people at a more, intense, vast level. And then one day, all of a sudden, more light came in. And I was just being divinely guided. Like a friend of mine had reached out to me, and she had had surgery. And I said, can I send you healing? And I wasn't using the AccuScope and MyoPulse technology because I just felt this shift. And all of a sudden I was connecting with her energy, and it was as if I was just right there with her. And I saw my hands going into another dimension. And then all of this light was going into her body, and she was healed. After her surgery, her pain was gone. I mean, it's incredible. And, but the whole process, I've just been guided by the divine, and I just go with the flow of it,
I don't think you've got much choice, have you?
No, I really don't have a choice in the matter. I mean, I made my decision when I was in heaven. I would come back and help people, and they are guiding me through everything.
So can I backtrack? Like you say, you came from a Catholic upbringing. So how were your mum and dad when you started sharing all these different things? Were they totally accepting of you, or they just sort of, yes, okay, what,
They really don't even know anything about what I do.
There's a surprise.
They don't. They have no idea.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of amazing, but I'm just doing what I do, and it's okay.
And what about your daughter? Has she inherited any of your gifts? Is she on the same wavelength, or does she know what mum does?
She does. Yes. We have a very, very good, close relationship. And yes, she has gifts as well. Oh my goodness. She is very connected to the archangels. They are always around her, and Archangel Michael communicates with her.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know one of the other gifts you shared was your artwork, your paintings.
Oh, yes. That happened in 2021. Oh my goodness. This woman that I had met, I wasn't seeing people in person, doing healings for them. But she had the same technology as I did, and she really just wanted a refresher. So she came over to my house and she was talking, I did a treatment on her, and then she was telling me about watercolor. And I thought, oh, I've just always been a paint by number.
Yeah.
I said, I really don't have that type of creative gift within me. And she said, why don't you come over and I'll just show you how to get started. And I thought, okay, this will be awesome. And so I'm at her house and I put color on the paper, and all of a sudden it turned into a person's face. And I said, this is a person. And she looks at it and she goes, oh my gosh, that's my dad.
Oh gosh.
She calls her husband in and she said, who does this look like? And he goes, it looks like your dad. And I thought, wow, that is amazing. So
you progressed from paint by numbers, eh?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Very quickly.
Yeah.
So I go back home and, I order some paints and the paper, and I just start dabbling, and the paintings only take me 60 seconds.
Flip. High speed.
Yes, I just put the color on there and it just, boom, turns into whatever it is meant to be.
Yeah, they're very colorful, aren't they?
Yeah, and they, faces show up. Like in that one, there's a woman on the right side. You can see her purple eye and she has pink lips. There's just so much in these paintings. Like sometimes angels appear. There's people's faces, animals. It tells a story. Some of them even tell the future. For example, there was one that I painted that my daughter, this painting that I painted had a woman on the right side and she was pregnant. It showed that she was pregnant, but there was an image of a baby that was being infused with light. And there was an angel in front of the baby. And then after I painted that picture, I get a call from my daughter telling me that she's pregnant.
Really?
Yes. Yes, because babies kept appearing in all of these paintings. And I'm like, where are all these babies coming from? So it was amazing that all of this was coming forward in the paintings. So lots of things have opened up. Jesus appeared to me in 2021. I was going to the labyrinth in Phoenix for healing. And as soon as I walked on this ground, I heard, you're on holy ground. And because I had so much pain from healing, and my legs, my whole body stopped. Oh, this is the painting with
the baby.
Yes, with the pregnant woman, and then there's the baby in front of her and the angel infusing this baby. The baby is filled with a gold light.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can see in pictures, and it's like, when you look at the trees or you look at trunks, you can all these spirits, appear like, on this in the floors everywhere. I mean, I see different little pictures and faces everywhere, like, oh, hello.
Yes, and everybody sees something different in them. And I had posted this, one of the paintings that I did on Facebook, and a woman reached out to me and she said, "Your painting healed me." And I thought, oh my goodness, that's just incredible. So these paintings, they embody healing energies from the divine. And I've had a couple people respond to me. One painting I sent to a woman who was really, really ill. And I said, you're welcome to just print this and have this energy in your home. And she printed it, she put it in a frame, and she started hearing music coming from it.
I know you shared that, and that's amazing. But I can see my attention is being drawn to the painting. It looks like one you've done behind you.
Oh yes, that's the painting that I sent her. And
right.
That's the one that started, music was coming from it.
Fantastic. And I have to share that you gifted me 3 lovely paintings, which I'm going to get printed off. But and mine are like turquoisey swirls, and there's dolphins in them. So there's one. So I mean, all I can see is the water, the vortex. Little sea creatures, and you can see up the top like the whale and the dolphin, and absolutely beautiful. So it's, like you asked what my colors were, and blue, the blue, the aqua, and the purple are my favorites. I always work from the top half rather than the bottom half, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But no, absolutely beautiful. So I thought I'm going to go and get them and get them put on a wall. So thank you for that. That was really beautiful. Right, where was I going? So now you've got healing art.
Yes, healing art. And I'm just so grateful for all of the gifts that are coming forward, and the healings that I do for people. I was given the gift of remote viewing, years ago. And but now just being able to connect with someone anywhere in the world to be able to help them, because I did say to God, I said, I want to help anybody in the world, and they gave me the gifts to be able to do that. So grateful.
So do you think there's any more, or do you think there might be a third visit to heaven anytime?
Well,
I mean, you've done 2.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Actually, the next time I mean, this is definitely my last time.
All right. I'm glad to hear it.
I think you should have clarified it by saying return trip.
Return trip, yeah.
Yes. I mean, the next time I'm just going to stay.
Yeah. That's your one-way ticket, eh?
Yes, but I do have a big mission here, so I think I'll be here for a while.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear it. So what was the other thing? So how do you find it remote viewing? Do you, because I know a lot of people do that already, and they're already looking to see what's going on, and some people share information and some people don't because it's top secret and what have you. So what sort of remote viewing have you been doing? Is it mainly for healing and in people's bodies, or is it for the bigger picture on some level?
Well, it's definitely for the healing, because when I'm doing healings, it's as if I'm right there with the person. And whatever I'm working on, I mean, it is just right there in front of me. But I've had, I just had someone reach out to me tonight, and they're like, I can't find my keys. So
we've all done that one.
Yes, and they're like, can you help me?
The key fairy now.
So there was an instance where like I can see through buildings, you know, like one time someone had asked me, they were wanting to find a place to live and oh, my battery is low. I have to plug it in. Hold on. Oh my goodness.
There you go. You asked for a near-death experience. The computer's about to go.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this. Oh my goodness.
We'll have to let the audience know that it's coming up for 20 to 2 in the morning for Christa. I mean, she's a trooper.
I know.
Get up early in the morning in Los Angeles to do this for us. I mean, it's fantastic.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Yeah, Jeff is just sharing the time. What is about 20 to 2 for you in the morning?
Oh yes. Okay, I apologize for that little.
No,
it's all live, mate. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I've done it myself. Suddenly, flash out. Oh my God! I haven't switched it on. Quick.
You're only a shorty too. You're on the high chair.
Oh my gosh. So this friend of mine was looking for a place to live, and he wanted me to check the energy of the place. And I thought, okay, no problem. So we go look at this home to rent, and we're standing outside, and his appointment is like maybe in 10 minutes or so. And I said, well, the garage door is open. Like, I think it's okay if we just go in. And he goes, the garage door is not open. And I'm like, no, it is. I can see, like, how come the garage door is up? And it was as if there were no walls. And I was just seeing right through it. And I'm like, no, it's open. I can see that it's open. And he's saying, no, it's not. And then all of a sudden I feel this shift. And I'm like, oh, the garage door is down. So that's pretty interesting when that happens. You know, like when you're just looking at something and then a building, like, and then all of a sudden the walls are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happens, you know, randomly, just like the remote viewing. I just go with it.
Gosh. So what other talents have you got then? Because I know you said you came back with so many different gifts. So I know you've got the remote viewing, you've got the art, you've got the ability to look into bodies, and healing on one-to-one. Is there any other talents that you haven't shared yet?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's all the clairs, you know, the clair sentience, the clairvoyance, clairvoyant. I mean, I think that's all of them. It's all encompassing. Speaking in the light language. Some people call it speaking in tongues. Some people call it a light language. When I started speaking in that language, you know, I just asked, like, what am I speaking? And I was told it's the language of the light of the divine. And
do you think you'll be able to do something today for us all?
Oh yes, absolutely.
That would be lovely. I meant to ask you before the show and I forgot, so I'm asking you now.
Oh yes, I would be happy to. I would be happy to give everyone a blessing.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. We all accept gratefully. Thank you.
Yes, for all the viewers, all the listeners, absolutely. And if you can, I invite everyone to place their hands on their heart. And if you're driving and you're not able to, that's okay. You will still receive. Olarara kate sharakite shanyetsati kotorovatoro katai sharakate lelarinyo dorava ishati sanyarakiti urokotainyate sharakalerinya votorokotarva isharakari sharakinyo toro resatamanyasati ishkatarinyate ktiarakatayo kotorokotavanya uru savaneri sharalerinya fasate satuyero kotoravanyo kotea Lere engeki shkata esavenyo to kotaravanyo uru shara ledinite satiara alalarinyo to kotavanyo koteatsanyatia. And then just breathe out.
Oh, that was I could feel as soon as you started something happening all down my spine and down my back. It was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So I don't know if any of our listeners experienced anything, but I know I certainly did. But then anything like that straight away, like, you know, I've got the gooses or something's happening. So so have you any idea what you, when you're speaking, or you just allow whatever that is to come through without having to understand what it was all about?
So when I'm speaking, I am also seeing what's happening. And I'm also hearing like everyone is being wrapped in love and grace. And I'm seeing light that's just pouring over everyone. And as the light is coming in, what isn't supposed to be there, you know, whether it's sadness or loneliness or any kind of trauma, like it's being cleared away.
Brilliant. And that's so
Making,
needed at this moment in time, with all, you know, with all the different things that have been going on and are going on and will be going on. Yes, that's so needed. So thank you for that. What else was I going to ask you? Something popped in, but it's popped out again a minute. No, I don't know. Right. Oh yeah, I know. What advice would you give to us who now in these times of change, for a stronger connection to the divine, God, source, you know, whatever people call themselves? What would be the message that you would like to share today in this moment onwards?
well, we are all connected. You know, we all came from that same love. And what we can do to really create a massive shift in just a really beautiful way is for us to really embrace the truth of ourselves, that we are love. We came from love, and we are all precious. And when we embrace the truth of us, you know, and just stand in our strength of remembering who we really are. Like, we are not what we experience. You know, yes, we experience a lot, and it ends up really affecting us emotionally and physically, but that isn't who we are. And we can be free of it all. And that was you know, something that came forward for me is after my NDE in 2020, I then had clarity as to why I had my first NDE, receiving the gift of living in the now and being able to help people get to that place of being free of it all. Because you can be free of all of the trauma. And forgiveness plays such a big role in that. And sometimes forgiveness isn't always the easiest thing.
No. I hear you.
Yes. But it really does. Oh my goodness. I mean, the forgiveness is such an important part, and letting go of the judgment, because my goodness, I mean, we are all connected, and we have all done things that we wish we could do differently. And so if we just allow that forgiveness to come into our hearts and just start living from our hearts instead of our heads, you know, that's really.
If I recall, you said that you were too much in your head, and that's why you had the accident. you were out of your head then, weren't you?
Completely taken out of my head, and it was so amazing.
So going on to the mold, how did you get the mold? What happened there to create the second visit?
Oh, I was working in a building that had mold, and you know, growing up in Iowa, it's a very humid climate, so there's, you know, I'm sure I grew up in mold. And you know, when those levels just start to build and get so high, eventually your body starts to really react to it. And then it's like you're at your threshold and you can't take it anymore. And then you just become really, really ill. So yeah, it was from
you were moldy to start with then, eh?
I guess. I guess so. My goodness. Yeah. And it's incredible. You know, I learned so much about that because mold is in food. I mean, it's amazing how many foods that we eat actually have mold in it. So it is very supportive if people just start detoxing their body even before they start showing symptoms. Because a lot of people will start having memory issues or even symptoms of MS and even Alzheimer's and things like that. And, you know, just difficulty thinking, breathing problems, but the doctors can't find out what it is when it's actually toxicity.
So what do you find is the main ingredients that's got high levels of mold in?
Oh gosh, fruit, chocolate, coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
I must admit, I haven't looked into the mold side of things. I mean, I know it's in different things, but I hadn't really thought about it in food. So that's another thing I'll have to do a little bit of research on.
Yeah. And your body cannot get rid of it on its own. So you do need to take some measures, some active measures to rid your body of it. So that would be supportive for people to do before it, you know, and not everybody has a sensitivity to it, but, you know, I definitely do because the levels got so high. But I really wasn't aware of it until I became really ill that the levels were so high.
Yeah. So did it affect your lungs? How did the mold affect your body at that time?
Well, I first noticed cognitive impairment, like difficulty comprehending things and just really like being in a brain fog, you know, and then I started having weakness, fatigue, like debilitating fatigue. And then I started feeling this burning in my lungs, and then my eyes were burning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like I've never felt so sick in my entire life. And I actually went to a doctor that I was friends with, and he gave me an IV with hydrogen peroxide in it, which was way, like it just caused this massive explosion in my body. And I didn't have a binder to take to grab it all. So it was just way too much for me. And because after that IV, I mean, when I got home, I mean, I couldn't get out of bed. I was in bed for months and months.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was a 2.5 year ordeal. Yeah.
So can I ask how young you are now?
Oh, I just turned 53 in August.
Wow. You look incredible. You look amazing. So,
Thank you.
you know, and with the journey you've been on, nobody would know. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, especially as so early in the morning for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're glowing. It's brilliant.
Thank you. It could be the 2 trips to heaven. I will just.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, I mean, I love traveling, but I don't think that's what I'm going to put out for at the moment. But you never know what's a divine plan, do you?
Yeah. I mean, the first one was a piece of cake. Like that was nothing compared to this one.
And yet you were obviously only gone for just a very, very short time. But yet obviously at the time it was like endless, I suppose. You got no idea of time.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the concept of time is just gone. You know, you're just in such bliss, and there is no concept of time. So it would be hard for me to say like actually how long I was there for.
Yeah.
I could have been there for hours. I don't know. maybe minutes.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So talking about being in the moment, and I think that's one of the biggest lessons for everybody now more than ever is the past is gone. We can't change the past. We can only learn and grow from the past, and also work on our forgiveness. And also, like, tomorrow and the next day hasn't come, so we can't even, you might think you're going to do this, this, and this, but it never turns out to plan, does it? Ideally, in your mind. So it's literally, here we are now, this moment, we're all talking together, and there is nothing else in it. And it's understanding that's how it is, that we are all connected, we are all in this moment now. So I think, and also to do your gratitude.
Yes.
I do it in the morning, and I do it before I go to sleep. I go through all the things in the day of all the little things that have happened, and like do my thank you. So I go off on a positive note, and then I come in on a positive note. If you know what I mean.
Yes, that gratitude is huge. I mean, amazing things happen when you're living in gratitude. When I was finally able to walk, I just wanted to go to the grocery store, and just feel like I had some independence. So I was being grateful for my legs, grateful for my car, grateful that I could see. And as I was driving to the store, I came to a stoplight, but then there was this other car that was coming from the left. And so let's say I'm heading north, and this car is coming from the west, and my light turns green and his light's red. But as soon as I start to go, he floors it. And I just am in this place of peace and stillness and just observing what's happening. I didn't go into fear or anything. And he drove his car right into mine, but I went into another dimension, and I just went right through his vehicle.
Wow.
It was amazing. And I could see him. I mean, he was screaming. And I just stayed in this place of, that gratitude is incredible. It raises your vibration so high that you can jump through dimensions. And then I just went to the grocery store.
Just like that.
Just like that. And it's like, you know what? This is what's supposed to happen here. We're supposed to be bringing heaven to earth.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's happening.
No, I know there was something else I wanted to ask you, and I remember hearing you talk on one of the shows, and I just heard the word hummingbird, but I didn't, I couldn't find where it was again. So I thought, can I ask you, what's the story about the hummingbird?
The hummingbird.
I couldn't find it again. I thought, I wonder what she was sharing about something to do with the hummingbird. But
well, when I moved to Arizona from Iowa, maybe this is it. I was going for a bike ride, and I had my phone attached on a little holder on my bike, and I was new to the area. I really wasn't familiar with where I was, but so I put the address in my phone, how to get back home. And then all of a sudden my maps doesn't work. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get back. But I just thought, I'll be fine. I just knew that I would find my way somehow. And all of these animals started appearing. There was a bird that came, and that could have been it, because a hummingbird came. And I thought, that's a message for me. So I started following this hummingbird. And then this hummingbird took me to a squirrel, and then the squirrel takes me to a lizard. And I'm following all of these animals. They took me home.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like a fairy tale.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, those are the kinds of things that happen, like when you just are in this space of stillness, you know, and you're not in your head and you don't go into that worry and you know that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, wow. So obviously you must be very busy, but I know you work very fast, don't you? Because I can share that when we connected, I can't remember what I had going on with me at the time, but I had something going on, and you were working with me instantly. So obviously you don't spend hours with clients. You just work very, very fast, and which is brilliant, because that's what it's all about. You know, it's not taking hours to heal somebody or going round and round in circles. It's like, you know, hearing things quicker now. People are tuning in and working through stuff so much quicker now than ever before, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, everything is shifting very, very quickly. The veil, I mean, it's like there isn't even a veil anymore.
Okay.
It's amazing how fast things are moving, and so many people are they're waking up, they're shifting, you know,
Definitely.
they're letting go of everything that's not for them. And they're just stepping into this new paradigm. So it's really beautiful.
Well, it's been an absolute delight you sharing your story. I mean, I've really loved it, and the gifts that you're bringing back for humanity and how you're being of service. So thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been an absolute delight. It really has.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am so grateful. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure, believe me.
That's right. All right.
Yep. Thank you very much. And I hope everybody enjoyed that. And if you're listening to the replay, I still hope you will. Well, I know you will enjoy it.
Yeah, what's the time now? Coming up for 3 o'clock in the morning? Is that right?
Yeah, it's about 3. So I think she's going past her sell-by date now.
Yeah, Christa, look, it's awesome just sitting here listening. And sometimes, you know, people think, oh, what's Jeff doing? Well, it's all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And revealing, like, for example, here's Julie, she's come on one particular site. Then we've got, you know, people interacting. So behind the scenes there, Jeff's doing all this other technical stuff. And I wouldn't be having a show without Andrena asking the questions and being forthright. It's been awesome, Christa, and really appreciate what you did for everybody at the healing session. It's very awkward to be able to do the healing and put the hand on the heart here while all the other technical stuff's coming through. But I did feel impulsive to get onto Andrena's little stuff and put on the show there, you know, your history and your NDE so that people can refer to it in writing. I know they can listen to it, but in writing, it's just another way of getting your message across. And look, if you do get the opportunity and you can go over to Andrena in the UK and spend some quality time around her at Mists of Avalon, if you want to call it as such, coming to Australia, I'm quite sure that we've got a host of people in Australia who can billet you out and you can do different talks. And well, if you're going to do talks, you might as well have a bit of a tiki tour and see what Australia's got to offer. But Andrea's got a lot of spiritual stuff happening around her part of the world. So
yes, you would be very welcome.
Oh, yeah, I would love to. Thank you.
All right. Love your work. Thank you very, very much. And stay with us.